A closer look at the devastation after a lightning-sparked fire ravaged a historic gold mining town. Live Copter 3 flying above Chinese Camp tonight and historic Main Street. You can see most buildings are damaged or gone. The flames also destroying homes.
Devastation, something that right now, even looking at it and walking, you can't believe it just yet.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Curtis Ming.
And I'm Andrea Flores. That fire was just one of nearly 24 that sparked during a lightning storm yesterday. The September lightning complex fires have burned more than 13,000 acres, mainly in Calaveras and Tuolumne counties. Right now, crews have about 15% containment and evacuations remain in place in Tuolumne County. But today, evacuation orders were reduced to warnings in Calaveras County. And 175 years ago, Chinese Camp was a bustling mining town with a hotel, saloons, and blacksmiths. So much of that history was lost in that fire.
KCRA 3's Peyton Headley is in our newsroom tonight after looking into Chinese Camp's history. Peyton?
Yeah, well, Chinese Camp really came to be during the gold rush. People came from across the country to try and get some of the $2.5 million in gold that would end up being pulled from the ground there. But now few pieces of that era survived the fire. Inside the California State Library, books paint the picture of what Chinese Camp was like in the mid-1800s.
People came in from all around the world.
Chinese gold miners flocked to the foothills and built stores, banks, and hotels.
It was very, very simple construction, but simple lasts. And so, yeah, many of those buildings would have dated back to the early days of California statehood.
Many of those buildings stood the test of time until Tuesday.
It's really unfortunate.
Fire tore through Chinese Camp, damaging many of its once iconic landmarks. The historic post office is on the right of the street, the Oddfellows Hall on the left. The gold mine era structures are still standing, but they're just shells. Everything inside is destroyed. The Chinese Camp Science Academy with its pagoda roof is still there. So is the White Catholic Church. But few homes are.
We have so precious few gold rush era places left in California that have any authenticity at all. So to have this one go is just heartbreaking.
Shelley Davis King is a longtime Tuolumne County resident and anthropologist.
This is 1856 to 1858.
In 2024, she taught a class at Sonora's Columbia College about the history of Chinese Camp.
It's one of the only surviving towns in California that truly has a relationship to an ethnic group like this.
To have lost so much of it, she says, is devastating.
These were really spectacular buildings that told an important part of the history of our state, and now that's gone.
Gone, and closing a chapter in this storied community.
The fact that we had Chinese Camp to kind of take us back to the past, to be a place that we could visit and see how California was in the years before, was really valuable.
And still, there's no official word from CAL FIRE on just how many structures were lost in this fire. Curtis.
All right, Peyton, thank you. And so many of you have asked about certain landmarks, so tonight we flew Live Copter 3 above them to see several are still standing.
This is the Chinese Camp Store and Tavern on the corner of Red Hills Road and Highway 120. It's a popular stop for people headed to and from Yosemite National Park. And this here is the Catholic Church. This is on Main Street. The white wooden structure is perched up on a hill overlooking Chinese Camp. And we spoke with a former resident of Chinese Camp who says her family is buried in the cemetery right next to it.
Oh my goodness, when I saw it yesterday, I literally started crying. I've been unfortunately gone for 3 years, but it still has all the meaning to me. I mean, my family's buried there at the cemetery, and that was the first that I had seen.
And here's the Chinese Camp Science Academy with its pagoda roof there. It is still standing on Red Hills Road. The school serves 3rd through 6th graders. You can download the KCRA 3 app to keep track of these fires. We have more on the devastation in Chinese Camp, the latest evacuations, and how these fires are impacting air quality near you. It's all in the KCRA 3 app and KCRA.com.
As crews work to continue to contain those wildfires, another wildfire is causing air quality concerns in the foothills. Live Copter 3 flying over Calaveras County this afternoon, and you can see all of that smoke just lingering in the air.
children, people with respiratory or cardiac issues, pregnant people, they shouldn't really be outside at all.
Now, a lot of that smoke is being caused by the Garnet fire down in Fresno County.
We have some time lapse of that fire from Alert, California. The Garnet fire started about 2 weeks ago. It's burned more than 30,000 acres west of the Kings Canyon National Forest. So we have team coverage for you of the air quality concerns. We want to start with KCRA 3 meteorologist Heather Waldman with the areas with the worst air right now.
Yeah, and at this point in the evening, most places in Northern California actually have okay air quality. In fact, Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto, all in the green, which means the air quality is in great shape. We have that high elevation haze, but it stayed elevated, so that's a good thing. I want to take you down into Tuolumne County, but you got to go higher up the hill, higher up 108 to find that unhealthy air, those red dots there. Groveland here, Sonora here, the air quality improved throughout the day, but there are still some areas where maybe you can smell the smoke. You just want to make sure you have the windows closed up there for tonight. As far as what we can expect tomorrow, a lot of that all depends on how active the fires are tonight and how much of that smoke settles back down into the foothills tomorrow morning. I would plan on another smoky start around Angels Camp, maybe up into Murphy's, Sonora, certainly the Chinese Camp area and into Groveland. Coulterville saw a lot of the smoke too. There's really two fires that we're still keeping a close eye on. The first, the fire that burned into Chinese Camp yesterday. It grew by about 500 acres today, so still growing enough that, yeah, it was putting up fresh smoke during the day today. Not much smoke coming off of the fire burning to the south of Murphy's. It only grew by 14 acres today, and in fact, some of the evacuation orders were downgraded to warnings, so a good sign there. Winds expected to be relatively light most of the day tomorrow, but by later this week and the weekend should get enough of a westerly breeze to really start to clean out the air here. Back to you.
All right, thank you. And Tuolumne County is now issuing an air quality advisory through Friday.
KCRA 3's Andres Valle is live tonight in Sonora. So Andres, I know you spoke with a doctor and people affected by the air quality all day today. What are the conditions like tonight?
Yeah, well, Andrea, when we first got here, it definitely did smell like smoke, but so far within the past hour, it does feel a little bit better. But because those county health officials are saying that the air quality is expected to be poor for the next couple of days, they really want people to limit their time outdoors.
It was so hot today that I was sweaty, and I just felt like the smoke was sticking right onto my body.
I'd say that pretty used to this. We kind of go through this kind of thing every year.
Hazy skies in Sonora Wednesday as smoke from ongoing fires impacts air quality in the foothills.
I really can't do much in the smoke because it makes me sick to my stomach, and with my son and his cough, I prefer him to not be outside in the smoke.
Tuolumne County Health issued an air quality advisory as a result. County Health Officer Dr. Kimberly Freeman says conditions will vary across the county.
It depends on the inversion layer. So as the temperature shifts and the air settles down at night, the air quality might be worse down low, and then that air quality, the bad air quality, might shift up high during the day.
That's why she's asking people to limit their time outdoors if they don't have to be outside, especially if you have any respiratory issues like asthma or COPD. Residents in Sonora echoing that advice to neighbors.
We just stay indoors as much as we can. If we don't have to go outside, don't.
Try to wear a mask, get some covering over so you're not breathing it in.
Other people shouldn't exercise outside for any given a long distance of time.
But if you have to be outside, here's some things to consider.
You are being exposed to those chemicals after you've come indoors for hours, if not days, if you don't wash those clothing. So yeah, changing, showering, it can accumulate in our hair and can cause problems, especially if it smells like smoke. It is affecting you and your respiratory system. Those are ways to keep yourself safe indoors.
Yeah, all good advice. And Dr. Freeman says if you are at home, make sure those windows are closed. Having the proper air filters on those AC units could also benefit you as well. Right now, the county is not providing a place where people can pick up some masks, but they are recommending those of you who want to escape the smoke, head to public buildings like libraries. We're live in Sonora tonight. Andres Valle, KCRA 3 News.
Andres, some good advice. Thank you so much.